Gentlelady yields. Chair recognizes Mr. Frost.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Mr. DeJoy, as I'm sure you know, I want to talk about cluster boxes. Cluster boxes they resemble P.O. boxes at our local post office. Sometimes we see apartment complexes use them, where I live uses them as well. I know that USPS sometimes encourages communities to install cluster boxes. Mr. DeJoy, can you tell me more about how you decide when you encourage a community to use cluster boxes? What factors are considered? Does the recommendation just go through you or the local postmaster? Can you talk a little bit about that?
No, so rules were established, I think, 15 years ago with regard to home delivery, that any new developments, and that's a wishy-washy definition as to what a new development is, because we often get into conflicts with an expansion of an old development, whether it's a new development or not, that we would not be going to the doorstep. We would put cluster boxes in, that there'd be a requirement that the developer put the cluster box in for the new developments. And that's been an organizational business rule for at least 15 years, I believe.
Thank you. Ms. Hull, your office helps to make sure USPS is doing its job properly. Have y'all provided any kind of oversight, or do you know of any oversight that happens with the cluster boxes and the requests that go to communities on these?
We have not done that in a while, I don't believe. We've done some work probably 5-6 years ago in that area, but I don't know that we've done anything really recently.
I think it would be good to look into this, especially looking at patterns. The reason I ask is I have two communities in my district, Richmond Heights and Carver Shores. These neighborhoods have virtually no apartment complexes, yet they are being asked to consider cluster boxes. My neighbors in Central Florida and myself were concerned that the more wealthy suburbs of my district that are also spread out are not being asked to consider cluster boxes. And I bet you can guess what the demographic is of these two neighborhoods. These are predominantly black neighborhoods in my district. The Orlando Postmaster has been completely non-responsive to us in our office, reaching out multiple times to ask why these two traditionally black neighborhoods with pretty much no apartment complexes are being considered for cluster boxes, so people have to walk out of their damn house to go to the box to go get their mail. I think we need to get together and talk about it. Obviously we can't get a meeting with the Orlando Postmaster, so I want to ask both of you if you can commit to meeting with me on cluster boxes.
Sure, we're happy to.
You too,
Yes.
Mr. DeJoy.
We're happy.
Oh, we? Okay. All right. Well, she speaks for you there. All right.
South.
That's why I didn't answer.
Yes or no, Mr. DeJoy? Can we meet? Okay. I think we need to get together on this because it's important. The USPS is supposed to be delivering for America, and I want to make sure we're thinking about people like Richmond Heights and Carver Shores. I want to turn to delivery for rural communities. I have a community, an unincorporated community of Bithlo in my district. As I understand it, the standard operating procedure is for mobile home communities is to either have a park office or manager distribute the mail to residents if there are not proper mailing addresses or clear delivery points. Ms. Hull, in 2022, your office looked into undelivered and partial routes. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer for the record the report titled Delivery Operations, Undelivered and Partially Delivered Routes.
Without objection, so ordered.
The report revealed issues with a lack of internal data collection and concluded that, quote, the actual number of undelivered and partially delivered routes is unknown, end quote. USPS agreed to improve on this by May 15th of next year. So, Ms. Hull, I do think this could be implemented earlier, needs to be. Could you share a little bit about how these target dates were chosen?
Yeah, initially, I think there was some disagreement with us on a recommendation that we made as it related to those undelivered routes. And so I think we went through what we call the audit resolution process, accelerated up the chain. We got to agreement, but it took a while to get there. And so I think that's why there was a delay in the actual implementation date. I do want to commit to you, though, that we're going to follow up on that once that action is taken, because clearly the Postal Service intends to deliver mail to every house, every day. You've heard the Postmaster General express that today. And it's very concerning to us when deliveries are not made, when actual delivery points are not serviced in that way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to meeting on cluster boxes. You know, to put it frankly, we don't want predominantly Black communities of lower socioeconomic status being asked to consider these cluster boxes when other communities that are built in a very similar way are not being asked to consider them either. So I look forward to talking about that, and I think this is definitely has room for oversight from your office as well. Thank you. I yield back.